Hey everyone, it's another Saturday with Sweet Saturday with Shalena, and we have an amazing guest today. Before I introduce her, just want to let you know that we are independent Plexus ambassadors and that our testimonies are our own and they don't reflect upon our company, and that each person has their own experiences. But we're just here to let everyone know, how our journey has went and just answer questions and everything with everyone. So, without further ado, I have the honor to introduce Angela, and it has been amazing to become friends with her. And her journey is so amazing, and she's doing so much with it. So, thank you, Angela, for joining us today. And you can go ahead and start with telling us about how you started and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me today, Shalena. This is an amazing opportunity. And as Shalena said, is that I have been with Plexus for a little bit over 2 years. My original Plexus journey started on May 8th of 2013. And just a little backstory is that I've always been the very unhealthy and large girl growing up. Um, I was very close to 300 pounds whenever I graduated high school, and I was actually the mascot for the Winter Tigers in Texas. And so I was just always known as like the big fun-loving mascot girl. But being that large whenever at any time in your life, but especially whenever you're young, it's very detrimental to your self-esteem and just the way that you view yourself. And like any larger person growing up, I always had bullies, and that was very detrimental to my self-esteem as well. So whenever I graduated high school, I really wanted to get healthy. Um, I lost weight in very unhealthy ways, though. And then whenever I was 24, I had gained a lot of weight back, and I decided, look, I want to get healthy and I want to do this the right way. So I started working out and eating healthier, and I was able to really maintain a very healthy weight. But during that time, I was seeing a doctor regularly because they had suspected that I had lupus and my thyroid function was really low. And so they were monitoring that really closely. Whenever I turned 26, I found out that I was pregnant, that Chase and I were going to have our first child. I was very, very happy, but along with being very, very scared because I knew what that meant, that I was going to gain weight, and I was really scared that I would gain all of the weight back that I had worked so, so very hard to lose. And ultimately, I did. My thyroid completely stopped working while I was pregnant with Brady. And because of my lupus, which was diagnosed while I was pregnant, as well as being diagnosed with Raynaud's phenomenon and mixed connective tissue disorder, I was being seen by doctors every 3 weeks and then twice a week by specialists and then by my OBGYN. And I was put on bed rest, had countless, countless visits to the hospital and the ER because it was a very, very hard pregnancy. At 7 weeks, we thought we were losing Brady, and that was a very, very scary time. Then I was on bed rest for a long time, and I took comfort in food. And that was honestly my own fault. I took a lot of comfort in food, and I ultimately gained almost over, a little bit over 100 pounds. And gaining that much weight in any time, but in that short of a time, in 9 months, is detrimental to your body. After I had Brady, luckily, he came out a very healthy, happy little boy, and he's now 3 years old. But my first doctor's visit that I had after having Brady, they had ran blood work a couple weeks prior. I went in to see my doctor to hear the results. And without even talking to me, he just looked at me and he said, "Well, I can tell that you don't feel well at all." And I said, "Yeah, that's an understatement." I was always lethargic. I could barely get through my workday. I would usually have to cut out of work early. And being so lethargic and having no energy whatsoever, it made it very hard to work and then come home and then be able to take care of my newborn. And then, I also had a fiance, so I mean, we're supposed to have, this quality of life, and be happy. And that was very, very hard for me. My anxiety started to really go out of control. My depression was out of control. And I tried to withstand this appearance that I was happy. And that ultimately, just kind of put me in a darker hole. I didn't really talk about it to a lot of people besides Chase. And that made it easier for me to hide. 1 year later, or actually right before the 1 year, at the doctor's appointment, Dr. Proctor said, your thyroid is barely functioning. It's at 0.0056, which wasn't even functioning at 1%. And that was a main culprit in my weight gain while being pregnant. That was also one of the main culprits in me being able to not lose weight after I had Brady. During that, before Brady's 1 year birthday, I had worked out, trying to be as active as I could, even though I was super lethargic. I would go on walks with Brady, around our apartment complex and just try to do what I could. And I was trying to eat healthier. I was able to lose about 22 pounds, but ultimately through that year, I gained it all back and plus some. So right before Brady's first birthday, I was, almost over 300 pounds. And for someone so young and, so much to live for, that was very scary because I knew how unhealthy I was. They had tried to get my thyroid function to really kick in. They were giving me the highest doses of Synthroid, the highest dosage of Armor. They were switching that off every couple of months, just try to get my thyroid to kick in and react some. It finally did react a little bit with the Armor. And then 2 months later, the Armor stopped working. And whenever I went in, Dr. Proctor discussed taking my thyroid out. And at that point, I was on 8 prescription medications for daily pain, for my anxiety and my depression. They had me on Flexeril daily, hydrocodone daily, Xanax a couple times a day. And it's really, really hard to function on those medications. Very, very hard, even if your body honestly needs it. And that day he discussed taking my thyroid out, and I couldn't help but cry, because that's a huge surgery and it absolutely affects you for the rest of your life. And I just kept telling him, there's got to be some other way. There's got to be a more natural approach to this. And then he gave me 5 more prescriptions. And he said, he talked to me about them. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I might as well just carry around a duffel bag with all of my prescription medications in it, I mean, so I went home and I did some research on those prescriptions because he told me, and my rheumatologist told me, you need these prescriptions to help you regulate your lupus and your Raynaud's. And I went home, and one prescription for a month was $1,500. And
Wow.
I just stopped there. I didn't look at it anymore. I was like, there's absolutely no feasible way that I could continue to be on that medication or even start it. I couldn't continue over a long period of time paying that much for just one prescription medication whenever I was already paying almost $500 a month for the prescriptions that they had me on. And that's with insurance, and that was just not feasible for me. Crazy situation. I was up one night really late, because I have a newborn at that time. And I'm on Facebook and I'm just looking around the garage sale pages, and I stumble upon this post that Kathy Tubbs had posted, and it was about Plexus. And I had literally tried everything else, and I'd never heard of Plexus. And so, I shot her a Facebook message, and we were chatting about it. And I had the most overwhelming sense of calm that I can ever remember. I actually had hope that I hadn't had in a very, very long time. And I've got goosebumps all over. Every time I say that, I just get goosebumps all over. Because I just honestly knew, and I truly felt that this is what would change my life. And if this is what could help me increase my daily will to live, honestly. I mean, that was a challenge, and that's very hard and very sad to say, that I had a newborn and that, I had a happy family, and it was a challenge just to want to carry on every day. And yeah, it was a challenge. And so I ordered Plexus that night, and I literally still have the very first packet of Slim that I took because I just had, like I said, this overwhelming just feeling that this is what was going to help me. And I had no idea what a journey I had in store with Plexus. I had increased energy. I had increased stamina to get through my day. My moods improved dramatically. And Chase was like, "What is this Plexus stuff that you're taking? Because we need to buy it like by the boatload, you know?" So, and that's a huge thing whenever you go from being so unhappy, and unhealthy, and then you feel awesome. Like it's very, very sad to think that so many people go through life not knowing how really awesome they should feel. And I was one of those people. I got used to feeling horrible every day. I got used to being lethargic every day. And I just had honestly told myself that this is what my life is going to be. And I was selling myself short drastically, and Plexus honestly changed that for me. It gave me a whole new outlook on life. It rejuvenated my just willing to live and willing to be here. And 2 years later, I'm now off of 7 prescription medications. I'm off of all of my pain medication. I'm off of all of my anxiety and depression medication. And I'm on the lowest dosage of Synthroid that's possible. And my thyroid is functioning perfectly. All of my blood work comes back amazingly perfect, and my doctor is totally floored. It's just absolutely changed my life, just those health benefits. And then I've also lost 150 pounds with Plexus. I That's huge. That's absolutely huge. And I used to never go shopping. I used to always buy, clothes that didn't really have a size. It just had a bunch of X's in it, like I didn't really know what my numbered size was. And now it's really girly to say, but I absolutely love shopping. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. like it's absolutely so fun because one, I have the energy to do it. And two, because I don't feel confined by my size. And that's a huge thing. My self-esteem has shot through the roof. My, my outlook on life has completely changed, but then my attitude has completely changed. Whereas before, I was depressed and I was so anxious. My anxiety was just eating me alive to where I couldn't really be myself. I was literally just a shadow of the person that I used to be. And now I'm back and better and completely happy. I actually never had to fill any of those 5 prescription medications that I left with that one day. So prevented from starting 5, and I'm off of 7 prescription medications. That's huge. And that's a lot of money, guys. I mean, I can use that money now for my family's future, and let's face it, kids are expensive, okay? Brady's 3 now, and I'm so glad I'm not having to spend that money on medications, okay? Because kids are expensive and life is expensive. And, some people say that Plexus is expensive. And I can't help but shake my head at that, because I'm like, no, my life was expensive before, the I'm literally paying less for my Plexus products than I was for 3 prescriptions that I used to be on. And that's crazy to me. I'm no longer just living off of fast food. I'm no longer living off of energy drinks. Red Bull was an addiction for me, no lie. I was living off of Red Bull. The doctor that I work for, I've worked for her for 8 years. And a few months ago, she said, somebody had an energy drink at work, and she goes, Ange, I haven't seen you with the Red Bull in forever. And I was like, yeah, it's been like 2 years. But like we would literally go to Costco and buy the pallets of Red Bull. And then we'd still go to the store in the morning because me and another doctor that used to work there, we both, fed off of each other's Red Bull addiction. Then we'd go buy the 40s, of Red Bull, not the little baby one, the big one, the big mamas. And I would drink at least 2 of those a day in conjunction with a couple of the smaller ones. And that's crazy. I'm lucky to be alive by drinking that many energy drinks a day, and just my Red Bull habit alone that I used to have pays for my Plexus products, and I've been so blessed by Plexus, not only by health, but I've also had a huge opportunity to share with my friends and family. And it's such an amazing feeling to be able to do that and to be able to see the improvements in their lives. And that's huge. And like I said, I've had the same job at the same dental practice for 8 years. And for over a year and a half now, thanks to Plexus and thanks to God, because He's the one that really put Plexus in front of me, I now, for a year and a half, have made more with my Plexus income by just simply sharing what I've experienced by Plexus with my friends and family. Just by simply sharing, I'm making more with my Plexus income than I do with the job that I've had for 8 years. Whenever tax season rolls around and you see that you work so hard at your full-time job, but yet with your part-time job with Plexus, that income has greatly surpassed that full-time job income. That's huge. All of my bills are paid thanks to Plexus, and then we still have, some left over. So that's huge, and I just can't say enough how much I highly, highly recommend for you to take that chance. If you're watching this video and you've never tried Plexus and you're thinking about it, I highly, highly suggest that you reach out to the ambassador that sent you to this video page and just to let them know, look, I really want to give this a shot because you have nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose. A 60-day money back guarantee in the most huge network of support that you could ever imagine, it's amazing. And on top of all of that, I've made so many amazing friends through this journey, like Miss Shalena, and then, the list just goes on and on, hundreds of thousands of people that I possibly would have never known if it wasn't for Plexus. And now I can honestly say that they are my nearest and dearest friends. And I know that they will be lifelong friends. And so whenever I say life-changing, it really is life-changing in more ways than one. And so I just want to first and foremost thank Kathy Tubbs for posting that on a Facebook garage sale site and then taking the time to answer all of my questions late at night. And then also just my team for always being there for me and always supporting me and always having that support back and forth. And then also all of the other thousands and amazing Plexus ambassadors that are always there to support you every step of the way. And thank you so much, Shalena, for asking me to be on today. And I enjoy, highly just sharing what Plexus has done for me. And I hope that you'll take that first step, whoever you are out there. If you haven't tried Plexus, take that first step and order Plexus, and you won't regret it. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, Angela. I just have a couple questions for you. So you talked about being bullied and stuff. How do you, after you started Plexus and you started feeling better, how did you kind of deal with the self-esteem issues and go about that process?
It was a process, because whenever you're used to seeing yourself at such an unhealthy state, it's hard to see yourself any other way. But whenever people started to really notice, like my coworkers and my friends that I hadn't, honestly seen in months because I had secluded myself, I'll never forget the night we were out. I was out with a couple girlfriends and I saw a friend that we used to hang out with all the time that actually lived in the same apartment complex with us. Hadn't seen him in months. And I walk up to him just to say hi. And he kind of looks at me, I'm talking to him like, hey, how's it going? He kind of looks at me. I can tell he doesn't know who I am. I'm like, dude, it's Angela. And he literally like flipped out. He was like, oh my gosh, like because he had seen me, like a couple months after we had had Brady, but I just kind of like went MIA for months because I totally secluded myself. And, things like that, totally just honestly boost your self-esteem and boost your self-confidence. And it makes you really take a good look at yourself and see how far you've come. Of course, I was seeing daily changes and daily improvements, but it really puts it in perspective when other people see it, and they vocalize that, and you're like, okay, wow, like I was feeling good, but I know that I really have a reason to feel good about myself. It's not just something that I'm seeing in my head, because whenever your self-esteem is that low, it's just like, it's really just mind, like your mind tricks you, and it kind of starts to play games with you. And whenever you get that, that gratification from others, it really does help to boost your self-esteem. So
Most definitely, it does.
yeah.
So the whole depression, I mean, was it like an, I mean, do you still ever have issues with it, or um, would you say that you're totally, away from it, or what?
Away from my self-esteem issues or
Like the depression, like do you
the
ever have like,
depression.
I guess,
No,
relapses or whatever?
yeah, no, I mean, everyone has their good and bad days, but before it was always a bad day for me. And sometimes I'll wake up or like midday or something, and something funky will happen at work, which before would really just set me off, with anxiety and depression. And now it doesn't. And that's huge. It's really hard to explain, it's like I always think about how far I've come and how I would have reacted in the past to something like that. And it's just polar opposites now, um, I'm in control of my life, and I'm in control of how I react to outside things happening in my life. And that's a huge, huge empowerment to have. Whereas before I never had that. And so now, whenever things like that happen, I just tell myself, no, girl, you've got the control. The ball's in your court. This is your court. So, if you want to go down that road and if you want to get anxious and depressed, have at it. But this girl over here, this little happy girl, I'll still be here. So if you want to dribble on back down to this side of the court, I'll still be here, so I always like to stay on the happy end of the court. And I just always try to remind myself, no, you don't have to be on the defensive because you've got this. This is your life, you're in control. And so there's really no need to feel anxious or depressed whenever you have that outlook on life.
I like the way you put that. We definitely have the control,
Yeah.
but sometimes stuff happens and we kind of, in a sense, give it up, and then we have to take it back.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we can't let people affect us like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Because you're just feeding into that negative energy if you do, at that point. So it's all about control, and everybody's got it. You just got to find it.
So, with your journey, I mean, have you changed your eating habits more, or was it like I know everybody's like, oh, did you do a diet? I didn't. I don't. I'm not really into the whole diet thing, so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do that. So I just try to eat healthy and watch, what I put into my mouth. So how did you go about doing that?
Oh, definitely. As before, we were just living off of processed foods and fast food because I didn't have the energy, or even the want to, cook dinner or anything like that. So it was always quick fixes. Um, Now I I crave water for one thing. When before I barely drank any water. It was always like I was never a Coke or Dr. Pepper fan, but I was always drinking Red Bull and I was always drinking Sprite. And you know, they contain so much sugar, and additives and everything. Haven't drank a Red Bull in over 2 years. I rarely drink a Sprite, and I'm always drinking water. Now, food wise, I hardly ever have fast food. Um, I crave salads. I crave steamed veggies. I crave fish, grilled chicken, hummus with, carrots and broccoli. I mean, it's insane to me that my body literally craves this now. And that's one of the amazing things about Plexus is that whenever you get your body fixed from the inside out and you get your gut healthy, your body takes control of that, and it starts to really send it to your brain that you're not, feeding your anxiety or your depression or, just your out of control feelings. You're not needing to just quick fix that by, having that comfort from bad food. It's that I'm fueling my body and I'm not having to really reach for those bad habits again, so that's a huge thing as well. That's a great question because everybody thinks that it's just like this diet, and it's not, it's a lifestyle change and you have to be willing to make the lifestyle change.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was like you. I did not. Water was not my top priority before. You know, sugar, drinks, and I was more of a root beer person. And I was doing home health, so it was like whatever I could do on the go.
Yeah.
And so very unhealthy foods and stuff. It was like I said, it was a process. I didn't just wake up one day and decide, oh, I'm going to eat healthy and not,
Yeah.
drink or eat anything bad. It was, just a process. Taking yourself off of it one step out of a time.
Hmm. Yeah, the journey is just about making small adjustments or small improvements to your lifestyle every day where you can. That was a huge thing about Plexus for me is because I never felt like I was starving myself like I did with other things that I had tried. I didn't feel deprived of anything, and I'll be honest, if I want a piece of pizza, I'm going to have a piece of pizza. But now I stop at one and I don't eat like half or three quarters of the pizza, So, I mean, that's just how it is, I mean, it's nice. Not deprivation diet style. It's just a lifestyle that you can totally adhere to.
Most definitely. So, you have some, you just did the Plexus video and you have maybe a TV show. How is that, for you and your family? Because to me, that's just like totally awesome that, you've had those opportunities and, all the lives that you're going to be able to touch and help. I know that, just doing what I've done is, awesome to me. So how do you feel about all the opportunities that you've had so far?
It's just absolutely a blessing, I mean, I don't feel like there's any other words that truly describe it, I would have never thought in a million years, honestly, from how unhealthy I was growing up, and then how unhealthy I was after I got pregnant. I would have never thought in a million years that I would be an inspiration to anyone. And I hear it daily, and that just absolutely blows me away. And it's an absolute blessing, that these things that I've done in my life have been able to help others. And um, whenever I got notified that, the Plexus film crew was going to come to my home and film, I was first like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And I was just like, so like honored and blessed. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I got to clean my house. So, but yeah, and thankfully I had the energy to do that, and then I got a lot of people asking, well, why didn't you hire, like a cleaning crew to come do it? Or why don't you have a cleaning crew just clean your house all the time? And the only honest answer that I can give is that I went for so long not wanting or having the energy to be able to do that, that I feel empowered now that I can do that, like that I can get through my workday taking care of Brady, and then I still have energy to cook and clean, or that I still have energy to go out in the yard and do some yard work in this crazy Texas heat, So it's just, you got to take pride in the small things in life, and whenever you've gone for so long without really being able to do things like that, it's huge, So yeah, I mean, it's been an absolute total blessing. but everything that has come from my plexus journey. And I just can't thank everyone enough for just believing in me. And I just never thought in a million years that I would be an inspiration to anyone. And that's just amazing to me. It's absolutely amazing.
It is. And you're definitely an inspiration.
Thank you.
You're
You are
welcome.
as well, though. I mean, come on. Hello, Miss Shalena Frog.
Well, I haven't been able to weigh in a month and a half, so I have 15 more days before I can weigh. So last count was 247, but I don't know. I try not to really think about it. I just think, hey, if I can help someone today, that's awesome. And I
Yeah,
try not to look back at all the other stuff.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're absolutely, absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I guess the only other thing is anybody that's listening, do you have any advice for them? Maybe that are, we're in our shoes, that are struggling, hopeless, depression, and just don't see a way out right now.
My main thing besides plexus is that I was so depressed that I had honestly put God on the back burner. And so he is the main reason I know that he was the reason why I was up that night, just insomnia and couldn't sleep. I know that he's the reason why I stumbled upon that garage sale page and I gave Plexus a try. Not only has it been an amazing journey with Plexus, but it's been an utterly amazing journey with God. Um, I'm very, very close to God now, whereas before I would go through my day and, I would hear things that God was trying to tell me, but I just, shoot him away, just ignored it. And now just taking solace in knowing that I'm not in this alone. Even if, there was no other Plexus ambassadors out there, or if I didn't have any encouragement from anyone, I would always know that I was not alone. And that was a huge, huge part of, in conjunction with my Plexus products, with fighting my depression and my anxiety. And for anyone that's out there thinking about trying Plexus, I highly suggest it. Again, you have nothing to lose. You've got a 60-day money back guarantee. Why not use it? You know, um, my main things is that you've got to drink your water and you've got to be willing to take the products after you get them in. Don't just let them sit on your counter and look at them and think, that plexus is so pretty. I love it. It's not going to do anything just being pretty. Take it. You've got to actually take your products how you're supposed to. Be consistent with it, be dedicated, and you will see results. You will see energy. If you're looking for energy, you'll get energy. If you're not necessarily looking for weight loss, because let's face it, people, plexus is not just about weight loss. It's about getting healthy from the inside out. And I fully believe that plexus can do that for you as well. So, if you're on the fence, go ahead and order and, just really put plexus on the forefront of your brain, that you remember and that you get in a good rhythm of taking your plexus products and just be diligent about it, and the plexus products will work for you, but you've got to work it too. You've got to do your part. So yeah, it's easy as that.
Well, thank you, Angela, for joining us, and thank
Thank
you for
you.
all your advice and your story. It was completely amazing. Part of it I hadn't heard before, and just you've come so far, and I'm so proud of you. And it's so awesome to have you as a friend.
You as well. You as well. You're so awesome. And thank you so much for inviting me today. This was so much fun.
Oh, no problem. All right. Well, thank you for another Saturday with Shalena, and I hope you join us next week.